They would gather their armies and ride when orders came from the wolf, at least so long as he held the king's favor. They would even hide in the mountains and wait at his order. Oh, they would chafe, and some would curse his name, but they would obey. They knew the wolf won battles. More, they knew he won wars. The little wolf, they called him, when they thought he could not hear, but he did not care whether they drew attention to his stature. Well, not much, so long as they rode when and where he said. Very soon they would be riding hard, moving to set a trap that would not spring for months. It was a long chance he was taking. Complex plans had many ways to fall apart, and this plan had layers inside layers. Everything would be ruined before it began if he failed to provide the bait, or if someone ignored his order to evade couriers from the king. They all knew his reasons, though, and even the most stiff-necked shared them, though few were willing to speak of the matter aloud. He himself had moved like a wraith racing on a storm since he received Al-Salam's latest command. In his sleeve, where the folded paper lay tucked above the pale lace that fell onto his steel-backed gauntlet. They had one last chance, one very small chance, to save Ar-ad-Daman. Perhaps even to save Al-Salam from himself before the Council of Merchants decided to put another man on the throne in his place. He had been a good ruler for over 20 years. The light said that he could be again. A loud crack to the south sent Aitaralda's hand to the hilt of his longsword. There was a faint creak of leather and metal as others eased their weapons. For the rest, silence. The forest was as still as a frozen tomb. Only a limb breaking under the weight of snow. After a moment he let himself relax, as much as he had relaxed since the tales came north of the Dragon Reborn appearing in the sky at Falma. Perhaps the man really was the Dragon Reborn. Perhaps he really had appeared in the sky. But whatever the truth, those tales had set Ar-ad-Daman on fire. Aitaralda was sure he could have put out that fire, given a freer hand. It was not boasting to think so. He knew what he could do, with a battle, a campaign, or a war. But ever since the council had decided the king would be safer smuggled out of Bandar Eban, Al-Salam seemed to have taken into his head that he was the rebirth of Arthur Hawkwing. His signature and seal had marked scores of battle orders since, floating out from wherever the council had him hidden. They would not say where that was, even to Aitaralda himself. Every woman on the council that he confronted went flat-eyed and evasive at any mention of the king. He could almost believe they did not know where Al-Salam was. A ridiculous thought, of course. The council kept an unblinking eye on the king. Aitaralda had always believed the merchant houses interfered too much, yet he wished they would interfere now. Why they remained silent was a mystery, for a king who damaged trade did not remain long on the throne. He was loyal to his oaths, and Al-Salam was a friend besides, but the orders the king sent could not have been better written to achieve chaos. Nor could they be ignored. Al-Salam was the king, but he had commanded Aitaralda to march north with all possible speed against a great gathering of Dragonsworn that Al-Salam supposedly knew of from secret spies. Then, 10 days later, with no Dragonsworn yet in sight, an order came to move south again, with all possible speed, against another gathering that never materialized. He had been commanded to concentrate his forces to defend Bandar Eban when a three-pronged attack might have ended it all, and to divide them when a hammer blow could have done the same. To harry ground he knew the Dragonsworn had abandoned, and to march away from where he knew they camped. Worse, Al-Salam's orders often had gone directly to the powerful nobles who were supposed to be following Aitaralda, sending Machir in this direction, Teakal in that, Raman in a third. 4 times pitched battles had resulted from parts of the army blundering into one another in the night while moving to the king's express command and expecting none but enemies ahead. And all the while the Dragonsworn gained numbers and confidence. Aitaralda had had his triumphs at Salanja and Messine, at Lake Somel and Kandalmar. The lords of Qatar had learned not to sell the products of their mines and forges to the enemies of Ar-ad-Daman, but always Al-Salam's orders wasted his gains. This last order was different, though. For one thing, a grey man had killed Lady Tuva trying to stop it from reaching him. Why the Shadow might fear this order more than any other was a mystery, yet it was all the more reason to move swiftly, before Al-Salam reached him with another. This order opened many possibilities, and he had considered every last one he could see. But the good ones all started here, today. When small chances of success were all that remained, you had to seize them. A snow jay's strident cry rang out in the distance, then a second time, a third. Cupping his hands around his mouth, Aitaralda repeated the 3 harsh calls. Moments later, a shaggy, pale, dapple gelding appeared out of the trees, his rider in a white cloak.